Oh, welcome to Comics with Dan. I got my background music still going. There we go. Welcome to Monday Night Comics. I am excited again to be able to stream several weeks in a row, especially after taking so much time off from streaming. Plus, there's just so much going on in comics right now that I'm glad to be able to chat about it and see what's going on. I recently posted a video about the DC Next Level initiative, so we're definitely going to talk about that tonight. And I also wanted to try something. I had tried it before, but I don't think it got much traction. I'm going to put a banner at the bottom of the screen here. All right. And it's going to be essentially a discussion topic, right? So I am putting this here. All right. So change my mind. Ultimate Peter Parker should replace 616 Peter Parker at the end of the Ultimate Universe, right? So I don't know if that's going to mean, 616 Peter Parker dies, and I don't know what that means to happen to Mary Jane. But I think that would be an incredible twist to the end of the Ultimate Universe. So I'm going to leave that here, right? And so that anyone that joins the stream can come on and discuss whether or not they feel the same, or they can try to change my mind. So I'll leave that down there, but we will also get into the books that I read in the past week, the books that I will be reading in the upcoming week, and some final order cutoff items. So first, though, before we even do that, and I have to admit I find myself unprepared, but I wanted to see if I could locate a list of DC Next Level books. And so, like, here's this one. Let's see if someone made a list already. Related community list, New York Comic Con, Next Level complete list. Thank you to the Bruno on League of Comic Geeks. So we can take a look at this. So these are all of the books that DC announced for DC Next Level. So if you haven't watched the video, or if you hadn't heard of the announcement yet, it was basically that this DC Next Level is going to be a publishing initiative where DC takes less characters that get the spotlight less, right? And so they will take those kind of characters and give them series, and they're going to be sort of like passion projects for the creators. So I don't think that they said specifically what the I don't think they said specifically how the process of how Next Level came to be, but I'm almost wondering if it was a sort of like character creators said, hey, like, I really like this character, I'd love to do a book, and DC greenlit it, right? So you have like Scotty Young and Jorge Corona on Lobo, right? And so it's just like a very unique look at these characters. So the ones that were announced, right? We have Batwoman #1. We know that that's going to be Greg Rucka is the writer, and Danny is the artist. So those are the pieces there, and I know not all of them had announcements, right? So, or creative teams announced rather. So like Batman, Shadow of the Bat. Someone I saw noted that Shadow of the Bat could possibly be a like sidekick type book, right? So we'll get those lesser used Bat characters like Spoiler and Signal and things like that. So that's a possibility for that. Barbara Gordon Breakout. We don't have a we don't have any creative team for that, but I'm excited about that one because it specifies Barbara Gordon, but doesn't say Oracle or Batgirl, right? So it's either going to be Barbara Gordon as Batgirl, Barbara Gordon as Oracle, some combination of those two, or possibly her in like a completely different role, which would be exciting as well. So we also have, like I mentioned earlier, Lobo. And Lobo is written by Scotty Young and art by Jorge Corona. Now, those two have done several books, but most recently did something called Ain't No Grave. And so Corona's art on Transformers is awesome. So I'm definitely excited to see what that's going to look like. We have Firestorm, the Nuclear Man. I really like the 70s and 80s series behind this. So, and so like here we have, especially if the speculation that the writer is Denise Camp. So that could be interesting. So let's see what else we have here. Deathstroke, the Terminator. Again, no announcement for that. So let's see what else. Zatanna. The thing about Zatanna is that she had a miniseries 2 years ago, and then another miniseries this past year. So there was Zatanna Bring Down the House, which was written by Mariko Tamaki, and then also just the regular Zatanna miniseries written by and art by Jamal Campbell. So it seems like she's getting more and more time in the spotlight, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just doesn't really vibe with the. It's okay. It doesn't really vibe with the thoughts behind or the premise behind the DC Next Level. So the Demon is about Etrigan, right? And so yeah, you see all these people are saying like, hey, like, please be this creator, please be this creator. I do like the idea of Philip Kennedy Johnson. I think that's going to be a good idea for him. Just because his voice for Memento in the Batman and Robin series is so similar to what Etrigan would sound like. And he actually also wrote Etrigan in his Batman and Robin series. So I don't know that Absolute Catwoman and Absolute Green Arrow are included in Next Level, but either way, yeah, so that's what Next Level is shaping up to be. I'm going to have a video coming out this week about the top 5 books that I would like to see as part of DC Next Level. So definitely keep an eye out for that. That's not what I want. Let's get back to my list. There we go. So let's talk about what I have read in the past week. Let me make sure. There we go. I like that better. Okay. So I read in this past week, I read Stillwater, which I might have mentioned on the last stream because I did read it like on Monday right before I streamed last week. But this is not the first time I've read this. This would be my second or third time. And it's so good. And I started to get through the second volume. I have not finished that yet because I got interrupted by X-Men. But this was very good. It's always very good. It's Chip Zdarsky, Ramon Perez, Mike Spicer. It's about a town I'm assuming it's in Oklahoma. I don't know why. I guess because the actual Stillwater is in Oklahoma. But in the town, nobody can be harmed or die, right? Like you can feel pain, but like if you fall off a building, Like you're going to break your bones and it's going to hurt, but you like heal right back up. So definitely an interesting premise. One that I definitely recommend. So you see here we have two Sonic books, Sonic the Hedgehog 72 and 73. So we just are almost done with the Phantom Rider stuff. I don't believe, I think 74 is still more Phantom Rider. I had seen stuff about the Phantom Rider ahead of reading this part of the series, and I knew that my kids were going to like it because what's cooler than a character named the Phantom Rider? And I was completely right. My one son has been drawing the Phantom Rider over and over again. And so I think maybe next stream, because I didn't ask him and I want to make sure I ask him first, but maybe next stream I'll share some of his art where he drew the Phantom Rider. So it's pretty good. It still feels like it has a little more direction than it's had in quite a while, right? Like obviously the Metal Virus was a slow burn and it was really well done. But between the end of the Metal Virus and the start of like Clutch the Opossum and Clean Sweep and all that stuff, there was like a bunch of issues where I didn't really know where they were trying to go. So I'm glad to see that there's a little more direction here, and I hope that they keep direction after this. So we had Transformers. Transformers number 25, which is the start of a new arc, and the writer is Robert Kirkman, Dan Mora and Mike. I think Mike Spicer still does the coloring on this. He does the coloring for Dan Mora and Jorge Corona, which is pretty cool. So the way that this book is set up is the end of issue 24 showed kind of the end of the battle between the initial battle between the Decepticons and the Autobots. And so the beginning of the issue is art by Jorge Corona, and it shows what's going on with the Decepticons. And like Megatron, look, he's obviously a very cool villain, right? But he then proceeds to go through every single one of the Decepticons and talk about how they let him down. And like, it's just funny because like, it's good to show that Megatron is not like this great leader, right? Like he knows how to rally people, but it's through fear. I mean, his whole saying is peace through tyranny, right? And so showing him as someone who is passing the blame down for their loss is interesting, because I think a lot of writers, not just of Transformers, but of a lot of different properties, will almost like glorify the villain in an effort to make him look cool and a villain that you want to read about. Well, I think that Daniel Warren Johnson and now Robert Kirkman did a good job of making Megatron like he's evil. He's also like he has a bunch of flaws too, right? And you want to see that, or at least I want to see that. Obviously Dan Mora's art is awesome. Just really, really cool stuff. I also noticed that there is a Daniel Warren Johnson variant of Optimus Prime pulling the tape out of I guess it's Soundwave, right? I'm sorry, I'm not a good Transformers fan. But yeah, so and anyway, so the Jorge Corona art is at the beginning with the Decepticons, and then when it switches to the Autobots, they switch it to Dan Mora's art, and it's really great. It's kind of showing, I guess I don't know who this guy is Lawrence Flagg. I don't know if okay, so he showed up originally in Destro, I guess, which is interesting, which again makes me feel like there's got to be a big Energon universe crossover happening. Like it's all leading up to this. Like that there has to be, because the Transformers are still playing a huge part um in GI Joe, or at least in like the main plot of GI Joe. Like apart from the Baroness and CoverGirl side kind of intermission story, I'll call it. But then in addition to that, like they're playing a part in Void Rivals too, right? So I feel like, especially because like and like spoilers for Void Rivals, right? But especially because Goliant sort of got shoved back into the Sacred Ring, and so and we only saw his hand, right? Like he's not gone. There's going to be the Quintesson War, right, coming up in Void Rivals, and then there's got to be some kind of crossover happening after that, right? It might not happen until like 2027, but it's on the horizon for sure. So that was Transformers. DCKO #1. So I am pretty excited about how good this was. Um, I liked that. Let's put it this way. So I felt like it was a really good start to the event. Back in the last event we had, well, Absolute Power, I guess, was the last event, but before that was Dark Crisis, right? And so Dark Crisis um, had this incredible Daniel Sampere art, and so that kind of carried it along quite a bit. No offense to Josh Williamson, but that to me wasn't his best work. And he has lots of other good stuff, so it's definitely not a slight on him as a writer. Just not everything can be everyone's best, but the Dark Crisis was kind of carried by the art. Absolute Power, I felt, was too segmented, right? Like I didn't do all the tie-ins. I did a couple, and then I did the main book, and I felt like I missed a ton of stuff. And someone worded it really well that the Absolute Power, the main book for Absolute Power, was just people reacting to things that happened in the tie-ins. So I'm definitely gonna be doing more tie-ins for DCKO, especially because just the nature of it is that it's this big tournament, right? And so there's all these tie-in books where these characters fight each other. Well, I'm not going to read the main story and not read any of the issues where the characters are actually fighting each other. So it just makes sense to have DCKO and like actually do some of the tie-ins, right? So like I'm gonna be doing Night Fight. I'll probably be doing Superman. I'm already pulling. Well, Batman's not gonna. I don't think Batman's gonna be a part of it, which is interesting. I also like in the solicit it says, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts," just like Michael Keaton Batman. So the interesting thing about DCKO though is that, like, a very long story short, is that the heroes need to use Omega energy in order to defeat Darkseid. And he is like, the Omega energy really only responds to someone who's brutal and wants conquest and things like that. And so if the heroes are to utilize this Omega energy, they need to be brutal. They can't be compassionate. They can't be caring. So like it doesn't play into like Superman's strengths, right? I'm really hoping that the route that they take is that they find some other way to get to that end goal. I really don't want the message of this book to be that, like, giving into that dark side. I guess we're not talking about Star Wars, but basically the dark side. is the way to win, right? And like I feel like if they can show a way for them to work around it and still be good and win, then that's going to be great. But if they try to make it that really the person who ends up being the most brutal is the one who wins the tournament and ultimately saves the day, then I think we're going to have basically a big uh you know instance of Scott Snyder really misunderstanding like the point of superheroes, right? Which I feel like there's no way that that's actually going to happen because he's been in the superhero game for quite some time. So I feel like there's no way that he'd have that much of a fundamental misunderstanding of what superheroes are about. So I also read, and I have a little bit this a little bit out of order. Batman and Robin number 26. So this is a continuation of Philip Kennedy Johnson's run. The first story or first overall arc of Philip Kennedy Johnson's run was the Memento story, and it was a good story. I liked how the relationship worked between Bruce and Damian. I thought that was really well done. And now we have this new villain called the Quiet Man. And I even like messaged PKJ on Instagram and like asked him like, hey, like when are we gonna get the Quiet Man in live action played by Clint Eastwood? Because he like looks like this like old man, right? And I've also been watching like some old Clint Eastwood westerns lately, and so I thought that he kind of looks the part for that. I mean, I feel like that kind of look, although Clint Eastwood's got to be pushing 100 at this point. But yeah, so Batman and Robin number 26 is the second issue of the Quiet Man arc. And I really love this Tony S. Daniel cover. I don't know. Did he do the cover of the last one? No, I think that's George Jimenez. Yeah. But like I really like Tony S. Daniel's work. Like this is really good stuff. He has like, I mean, he almost has like a Jim Lee style, but it's honestly more dynamic than what Jim Lee does. Like Jim Lee, like I really love his art, but it all looks like the characters are posing, right? I mean that's pretty much it. But this looks like action, right? And I love that they're moving the Batman and Robin costumes, right? That they're making that like a line wide update, right? And that they're not just keeping him in the black costume in the other books and putting him in blue in the new Batman book. But the blue and gray, that's a great combo. So so we'll skip over World's Finest for a moment because that's one that's coming up and I have not read, and I have a bunch of other ones here that I did read. So I read with a couple of my kids the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Usagi Yojimbo crossover, the Saturday Morning Adventures one. This was really great. And it was fun, and they know Miyamoto Usagi from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge video game. He's a playable character there, so they know him from that. I feel like the regular Usagi Yojimbo comics, I feel like they might be a little young for those, but I don't think it'll be too long before they could read those. I'd say that's like 12 or 13, just because like I do think it gets like a little violent in those, but they're mostly like it's still pretty cartoonish, so it's not too bad. But this was pretty good. It was it felt like the old cartoon. It's a very similar feeling to the other Saturday Morning Adventures TMNT books, which they love reading those. So this felt like a kind of a natural thing to go to next. But yeah, it was good. There's some dimension hopping, which kind of makes sense because that's how they kind of cross over to each other. And it's just, yeah, it was just a like a solid story that takes place in Usagi's universe, and I recommend this one for sure. We also have Absolute Evil. Um, this was pretty good. I honestly I picked this up because I saw that there was a big reveal, and everyone was like really loving it. But I think maybe I just haven't been reading enough Absolute books. Like I read the first Absolute Superman and the first Absolute Wonder Woman, and maybe like the first 8 or 9 Absolute Batman issues. But I guess this just didn't quite hit as home for me as it did for some others. But there is a really big reveal at the end, which I will not say who it is. But it's a pretty big reveal. So if that's the kind of thing that you are into, then it's definitely worth picking that up. I read with my kids the Sonic the Hedgehog Tales 30th anniversary special, which this was really great. I like this one a lot. It was, and if you look like in the back of it, it says that the plot points were taken from Sonic 3D Blast, as well as I forget the name of the Tails game, but it's like a Tails video game. It's like specific to Tails for the Sega Game Gear, and so I really loved the references to Sonic 3D Blast because that's one of my favorite games from when I was a kid. And my oldest son actually, I got him a copy of that, and he likes that game a lot too. He honestly though cares more for Sonic 2, like the regular side scroller, than he does for Sonic 3D Blast. But still, definitely a good book. And it's part of like those sort of more throwback issues for Sonic. And so there's the Sonic 30th anniversary. There's also Fang the Hunter, which we just finished that series tonight, actually. And these are all like the throwback Sonic issues, right? Which are it's like a cool break. It feels a little more retro and a little more tied into the old games as opposed to the newer ones. But I didn't realize that Fang the Hunter actually immediately precedes the Sonic Superstars game, which we have. So I'm willing to bet that the kids are going to be asking to play that this weekend. This is Star Wars 100. So it feels a little random to be reading that. But this is a comic that I got from my father-in-law. And he, because he had a bunch of comics that he had from when he was younger, and he gave them to me. And so like I always love whenever I get like comics like that, right? Like my favorite comics that I have are like, gifts from my wife, the comics that he gave me. My sister has gone out and gotten me some comics. Like I really love like gifted comics are they're just fun. But so the this Star Wars issue it was a pretty good story. The art was questionable, but it was an interesting story and had a couple characters in it that weren't really present in the actual movies, right? And so then this came out in like 1985, so this would have been after. So this takes place after Return of the Jedi, but the prequels had not come out yet, right? So it's pretty much just that, right? So, but it was pretty solid. I think that I would be interested in kind of looking and tracking down some more older Star Wars issues and seeing what they're about. Yeah, so Fang the Hunter #1, but we read actually 2, 3, and 4 tonight, right before this. So very, very good. It was that classic stuff. The Bark and Bean were there. I think that, I mean, Ian Flynn just has like a really good understanding of these characters, and like he's like they call him a sonic historian, right? uh he does a good job with these. So that's what I read over the past week, and let's take a look at what's coming out. So Batman Superman World's Finest number 44. So this is like the longest pulled series that I have. Interestingly enough, the first issue that they did a Robin and Supergirl kind of thing. It was like a Robin and Supergirl first date, and it like is a big disaster. I feel like maybe I need to reread it again, but it just really didn't hit home for me. Everybody loved it, but it was like the first issue that I didn't absolutely love. I'm hoping that this one hits a little different, but we'll have to see. But like that's a pretty cool cover. It looks almost like a movie poster. But yeah, I mean, Lucas Meyer variant. Oh, Supergirl carrying him and he's like pouting. That's pretty funny. Yeah, so now they're going on a road trip. I think that's fun. So I'm hoping that I won't be a stick in the mud this time. So that was World's Finest 44, Captain America number 4. So I'm really liking this one. I think the symbolism here is pretty great. As I said, I think the last time one of the Captain America books came out, is that Chip Zdarsky's Captain America is much closer to his Daredevil than it is to his Batman, right? And I mean that in the best possible way, because I loved his Daredevil and I did not care for his Batman. So this is much closer to that, although I'm just seeing that there is a Muppet variant, and it makes sense that Sam the Eagle is Captain America. I'm going to have to see, I'm going to get sidetracked here and see if there are more Muppet variants. Let's just do a search for Muppets variant. Look at that. Incredible Hulk number 30. And so it's, I forget his name, but Beaker is Bruce Banner. That's pretty funny. All right. What else? Amazing Spider-Man. Oh, it's Statler and Waldorf. Statler versus Waldorf. Nuff said. Nuff said. It's short for enough said. I'd say there was enough said before the Muppets ever opened their mouths. That's awesome. And this is another one too. It's the same month. It's Gonzo the Silver Surfer and Thor Kermit. That's awesome. What else do we have here? Amazing Spider-Man Torn. Oh boy. It's Miss Piggy as Spider-Man saving Kermit. Don't worry, Kermit. Miss Spider Piggy has you. Oh man. I think I'm gonna have to limit myself to one of these. Otherwise, I'm just gonna want all of them. The Avengers, the Muppets Assemble. It's Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. And Animal is supposed to be Giant Man. I think that the Avengers one's my favorite so far, but I'm not reading the Avengers. And I don't know if I'm going to pick up issue number 31. Let's see, Battle World. Oh, it's Miss Piggy with the Thanos glove. These are all fantastic. Oh man. Fantastic Four. Fozzie, The Thing. What else do we have? We already looked at the Hulk, Spider-Man and Wolverine. Oh man. The Swedish chef with spoons between his fingers. An homage to the Wolverine cover. That's fantastic. Oh man. And then the last one here is Venom. Oh, it's Rolf. Amid the chaos, there comes a wardrobe change. Oh man. That's too funny. Well, honestly, I might get that Avengers one just because it's so great. With Dr. Teeth. That's amazing. Anyway, Captain America, number 4. It's pretty good so far. I like the idea of working like the Desert Storm stuff into it. So definitely excited about that one. G.I. Joe. Okay, and so this is back to Night Force, which was like really the first of the G.I. Joe books where I felt like I really didn't know what was going on because I wasn't like a G.I. Joe fan coming into it. Um, and so that was a handful of issues ago, but now we have another Night Force covert op. And I'm wondering if it has anything to do with the fact that Night Force showed up at the end of last issue. I would imagine that it doesn't, which means I think it's going to take place or impact the main storyline. But it's also saying that's a standalone covert op. So I guess we'll have to kind of see. What else do we have? Nightwing coming out this week. I'm interested to see. Oh, I saw that there was some theories going around about. I saw that there were some theories going around that I guess his name is like he has like some weird name, Zanny. I didn't realize his name was Zanny, but I guess there's a theory going around that he is a white Martian, which I think is an interesting idea. I do still like this Nightwing run a lot. I want to say that it has kind of lost its focus a bit. Just between like all this, like it feels like maybe there's a little too many threads happening. I don't know. I think that it's absolutely a long burn story, right? So keep that in mind whenever you're picking it up. Is that it's not immediately threads tied off type of story. So we have Superman Unlimited. Deadly special forces of the Cobra Cult have infiltrated the Kryptonite Kingdom, and now the sovereign nation only hope for survival as a man whose very presence in the kingdom is a death sentence for him. Superman. Unholy Alliance is struck, Kryptonite King is crowned, and the Viper is striking this epic next installment of Superman Unlimited. I mean, I've been liking Superman Unlimited a lot. I feel like they're exploring that big impact that they had in the first issue where this El Caldero in Brazil becomes this economic superpower overnight because it gets like the world supply of kryptonite. I've said before a bunch of times that I would really love it if they would just keep or have that span across other books, right? I'd like to see the impact of this happening in other stories within the DC universe, not just in this book, because it feels like a really big deal. And it also feels like it's only really impacting the events of this book in itself. So if there are other stories where it's happening, let me know, because I think it'd be interesting to read those. And then that's what I have on the pull list. Oh, yeah, that's on my pull list for later. But we have some final order cutoff. So Circus Maximus, I've talked about this the last couple weeks. It's a heist story set in ancient Rome, which is a very cool idea. I got to read this first issue, and it is good. I like it. It has some technical flaws in like the dialogue and the actual storytelling that I feel like could be done better. But I am holding out hope that the series as a whole is going to come around and be just as great as its potential. So we have Night Fight #1 for DCKO. I'm just realizing that, well, I guess if you haven't read DCKO yet, maybe just kind of plug your ears here. But Batman's got different stuff going on during DCKO. And this looks like it's going to be about what he's going to be doing at that point. So I'm excited about that one. Like I said, I'm going to be reading a bunch of tie-ins for DCKO because I don't want to miss anything. Yeah, I am. And you know what? Is this going to be a one shot or is this going to be, I don't know. Let's see, series. No, it's going to be a limited series. I mean, this is. I talked about this last week as well, right? And so it seems like it's going to just be like a really fun, like Hulk destroys a bunch of stuff type of book. I think it's just going to have to be a trade wait till the library gets it because my pull list is already a bit stuffed at the moment, but it looks a lot of fun. I imagine that the art's going to be good because for whatever reason, Italian comic book artists are just incredible. So we have Mickey Mouse #1 from Fantagraphics. So that comes out in November. Final order cutoff is tonight. I'm trying to get my hands on a review copy. The people at Fantagraphics said that the guy at Fantagraphics said he would try to get me a copy and send it over. So I'm looking forward to discussing that one. I want to show my kids this one too because I think it'll be a lot of fun. I'm going to look at this series as well and see if it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a regular series, it says, but I know that the more it says is this going to be an ongoing bi-monthly starting in. Okay, that's pretty cool. I guess we'll see, but I think that a Mickey Mouse comic could be fun. Now, Spider-Man Holiday Spectacular. Again, this final order cutoff is tonight. I just saw the cover and it looked kind of fun. Got some other cool covers here. Peter Parker's all alone for the holidays. Not surprising. Luckily, the Spectacular Spider-Man has some amazing friends he can celebrate with. Okay, so it's just like a fun little thing. $4.99 is not too bad. A lot of times these holiday specials they'll up it to like $7 or $8 and get crazy here. Let's see what else we have. Batman Static Beyond #1. So it's Batman Beyond, Terry McGinnis Batman, and Virgil Hawkins? Is that his name? Yeah, Static team up, which I think is an awesome team up. I'm pretty sure that they team up in the cartoon as well. I am fighting my urge to pull this as well. But the final order cutoff is next Monday, so I have some time to be convinced. But it looks fantastic. I'm really excited about that. Colossal Kaya. So this says it's perfect for new readers. I read the first volume of Kaya and really, really liked it. And I think that I mean, like looking at the artists here, like Ryan Stegman, Declan Shelvey, Nathan Fox, Mike Huddleston, Jim Mafood, James Heron, and obviously Wes Craig. Like he does the Kaya stuff to begin with, but I'm pretty sure he's going to take Kaya to like 40 issues, which is pretty wild. But it was good. Like that first volume, I need to read some more of that. Die Loaded. So I only read the first volume of Die, or it was actually, yeah. I mean, I think it was like the deluxe edition, so it was like the first 12 issues. But it's like a sort of like a play on Dungeons and Dragons of sorts, but it's like those role playing games, right? Like where you roll the die. But this is it coming back, and I don't know if they like came out with like a second one and this is the third or what, but like this is big news. So I am pretty hyped about this. I might need to catch up a bit on this. It's definitely gonna be a trade wait for me, but the final order cutoff for the first issue is this next Monday. So if you're looking for that, then that's where that's going to come in. So also very noteworthy is the Ultimate Endgame. So the Ultimate Universe is ending. They announced at New York Comic Con this weekend, and so the kind of it's like I guess like a one shot that's kind of finishing off things. So that's the final order cutoff for that is the 20th again. So this next Monday, and it's going to kind of wrap things up. I need to catch up on some of the Ultimate Universe. I've read a good bit of Ultimate Spider-Man, a little bit of Ultimate X-Men, and a good bit of Ultimates, but I definitely am behind on that because I read it all on Marvel Unlimited. And then I also have Wonder Man in here because it was on the list of final order cutoff for like this next week, but this was like just announced. It's still noteworthy, especially because they're going to be releasing the Wonder Man movie. But yeah, I mean, Jerry Dugan, I know like some people have a hard time with some of his work, but I've always kind of liked the stuff that he does. So this could definitely be worth checking out. So, but that's pretty much what I have going here. I mean, it's like a big week next week, right? Like I've got 5 books on the pull list. I think if I had to pick one that I'm looking forward to the most, it's probably World's Finest, maybe. I'd say either World's Finest or Captain America. I mean, I think that they've both been pretty good. But that's pretty much all I have. Keep an eye out for I'm going to be doing another DC Next Level video. Hopefully that'll come out sometime this week. I'm also working on a review of the first trade of the X-Men from the Ashes series. So I'm going to be doing a review for that. So keep an eye out for that as well. And please make sure you subscribe, like the videos that you watch, comment on the videos, any kind of comic discussion is fun. So I'm always down to talk comics. So I appreciate it. Thanks everyone for watching and have a good evening.